letting this bulb warm up and come to a steady state temperature, I was going to talk to you about the orientation of the bulb. Most modern LED bulbs will have a collar that will let you adjust the orientation of the blade of the bulb relative to the headlight housing that it's in. In most applications, you're going to want it to be a vertical blade so that the chips are firing directly out to the sides, and that will typically give you the best pattern. One exception to that is we've got our NHK enclosed projector here. This is the 3-inch version, and you can see with this one, if you compare it to this bulb, that the blade is actually horizontal, so you've got one set of chips firing straight up and one set firing straight down. If you look over on the wall there, you can see that gives a nice, smooth, even pattern. And if I was to rotate that so that it's got a vertical blade, you get that shadow down on the bottom. Now what that is now you've got a chip firing to each side, and there's kind of a dark zone from the metal surrounding these LED chips. But if we rotate it back horizontal, then we've got a nice, smooth, even pattern. So if you look at, we kind of make like a diagram showing what I'm talking about here. If you were to look at, like, let's just use something simple like, let's say a basic round reflector style headlight. As I was saying, normally you would want the blade of the LED bulb to be perfectly vertical, so that if you got an LED chip here and an LED chip here, the light that they emit is going to kind of come out kind of like that. And that's what you want. That's going to, having the light in this sector and this sector is going to give you the best possible output, again, in most cases, for the headlight that you're using. If you've got something like this projector where it's got a little bit better optics to it, just the way that it works, like if you were looking at, let's say this is now a projector, and it's going to have cutoff shield, and if that bulb is sitting back here behind that cutoff shield and your pattern goes like this, the shadow that's created in this region is what you're going to see. That's what that shadow was, what you're seeing down the road. Whereas if we had it, when we turn it horizontal, so you got one chip here, now it's shining out this way and you get that nice even pattern. So that's what's happening inside this projector. But again, most, especially like a reflector style headlight, your best bet is going to be to have that bulb perfectly vertical. What you really want to do is have a vertical surface somewhere like a garage door or something like that, where you can park your car, have the bulbs installed, and just rotate them a little bit back and forth and make sure that you find that sweet spot of the best pattern that your headlights are going to get. So we're going to look at comparing a typical LED bulb to a typical halogen filament. So LED chips will be set in something like that. There'll be a couple of small ones when you look real close at them, and then the halogen filament would come out and have like this little curl of metal. The goal is for the dimensions of this LED chip to be as close as possible to what the factory halogen filament measured. So both in this direction and in this direction. I think that direction is like 0.7 millimeters or something like that. The closer those are together, the better the pattern is going to be. You still have to have a very bright chipset in here to produce enough lumens to give you that crisp, bright white output that pushes light down the road. But the pattern is going to be dictated by how big these chips are compared to the factory ones. Some of the earlier LED bulbs, when these things first started getting popular, I remember there was one that was like just one really big chip, and it wasn't as wide as the factory ones, but it was much bigger, and it was just like this big round thing, and the output was terrible. It was a very bright chip, but because of the way it worked with the the optics of the headlights, it just didn't work as a bulb. And so we found out as an industry, as we moved along, kind of developed the technology that when you get these much smaller, slimmer chips, the closer we got to that, the more perfect or more true to the original output the bulb became. So one of the last things I wanted to talk about was Kelvin rating. Essentially, when you're talking about Kelvin rating, you're talking about the color of the output of the LED bulb, or whatever bulb it is you're talking about. It's the same for HIDs. It spans from like a warm white on the lower end of the Kelvin scale to the higher the number, the more into this white and blue kind of color you get. So for instance, these bulbs they're about a 6,000 Kelvin slope. Like 5,000 Kelvin is generally regarded as like a pure white. 6,000 you're getting into, there's like a little bit of blue to it, and then the higher the number goes, the more blue it gets. You get like 12, 14,000 Kelvin, you're going to be in like an actual blue light. Not something we would ever recommend for headlights, obviously. The perfect one really comes down to personal preference. Do you want something that has this kind of cool, crisp feel to it, or do you want something that has a little bit more of a warmer color to it? It's just personal preference. You can get a nice bright bulb in any of those, just there's so many on the market. If you want something that's more akin to like a factory HID or something like that, you're going to want to go skew more towards the 4,500 to 5,000 Kelvin color rating. But ours, I personally like, and that's why we do these, is I like them in the 6,000K. Gives it a very modern, crisp look to it for whatever application you've got. So wrapping up, we've covered quite a few things here. Talked about what an LED chip is and how they work. Talked about the lumen rating from startup as it kind of fades off and comes to a steady state brightness. We talked about the orientation of the bulb inside the housing and how that can affect your output. We also talked about lux versus lumen and the importance of each of those and how they affect the output, and also the Kelvin rating and where that comes into play. Basically what we found, and I've been at this for about a decade now, there's a lot of choices out there, and really what you want to do is you want to find a brand that you like and a company that you like, one that supports you and it stands behind their product, that can help you make these, if you've got questions, a company that will help you make decisions and get you kind of the best bang for your buck. The bulbs themselves are, I'm going to say this, like, they're not all the same, but they kind of are. Like, they all come from the same general area of the world, and they all have the same general design to them. They have the same general features to them. So the real value in any of this is, again, having a company who's going to be around and stand behind their product, and they're easy to work with, and when you need to upgrade or when you need to make any changes or anything like that, somebody that will be there to help you out. And that's what we're here to do at Sparksmith. It's a cornerstone of everything we do, is standing behind our products and providing the best in customer service, because that's how we differentiate ourselves. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have questions, please drop it in the comments. We'd be as responsive as we possibly can. We're a team of 3 here in a little mountain town in North Carolina, so we're trying our best to help you guys out, making informed decisions and finding the best products for you. Thanks for watching.